Okay, human anatomy and physiology students. Today we're going to talk about roles of muscles. All right, contractions, how they move, the names form. You're going to need this for your next project assignment with somebody else. So pay attention because here it comes. Okay, the first type of muscle action is going to be called muscle contraction, which is concentric contractions. Okay, the word is concentric contractions. And the definition is when stimulated, muscles develop tension sufficient to move a body segment. The muscle shortens and the body part moves. So by that definition, my arm is here. When stimulated, muscles develop enough tension to move a body segment. I'm moving it. The muscle here shortens, which is why when you see somebody flex, it looks like they have a shorter kind of rounded muscle here. That is a concentric action. The muscle has shortened and the body part moves. Okay, so our first muscle move was concentric. This one is eccentric. So eccentric is opposite of concentric. So if concentric is in like this definition states tension which is overcome by the external resistance causing the muscle to lengthen. Okay, that's back out this direction. Okay, concentric, eccentric, concentric, eccentric. If we're talking about the bicep brachii, right now we are. It's concentric here and it's eccentric there. Okay, here's one called isometric. An isometric's definition is a muscle contracts isometrically when it attempts to shorten, when tension is applied, but does not overcome the resistance. Therefore, shortening of the muscle and movement of the body segment doesn't occur. Here's an example. You've got something in your hands and they're at your side. You're trying to curl them. Well, it could be anything you have. It could be it's really heavy weight, or it's a milk jug and you're feeling pretty weak, whatever it might be. And you can't curl it because it's too heavy. Your muscles actually fire and they're trying to do it, but they can't overcome it. That's called an isometric contraction. Okay, now you know the types of muscle movements. Here's what the roles of the muscles are in the movement. Now the first one's called an agonist. This is not English class. There's not a protagonist and then that's not it. Okay, this is completely different. Agonist is the main muscle mover. And you see the definition here. A muscle mover, agonist of the movement, when its concentric contraction contributes to the desired movement of a body segment. Just meaning the body part moves that you want it to move. And the example is, okay, on our bicep here, if we're going to flex. Bicep brachii is the agonist in the flexion of the antecubital region. Yeah, that's how you got to start talking, okay? The bicep brachii is the agonist in the flexion of the antecubital region. Fantastic sentence. Okay, the antagonist. Not a bad guy, just the opposite of the agonist, all right? Again, not English class, okay? The antagonist allows the movement to occur. It's got to relax in order for the agonist to move. So in our example of here to here, we know the bicep brachii is the agonist. Well, the opposite muscle that has to relax in order for it to move is right on the other side, and they're usually right across the other joint. So if this is the agonist, usually the antagonist is located directly across the joint on the opposite side. So agonist, and then the antagonist would be the tricep brachii. So if you're coming this way to here, agonist, antagonist. All right, check this video out, which is pretty cool, on the explanation of what we just learned.
In order to produce movement, our muscles contract and must either shorten, lengthen, or remain the same length. Muscle contractions can be divided into three categories: isotonic, isometric, and isokinetic. Isotonic contractions occur when a muscle changes length whilst contracting. There are two types of isotonic contractions: isotonic concentric and isotonic eccentric. Isotonic concentric contractions occur when a muscle shortens under tension. An example of this would be during the upwards phase of the squat. The quadriceps muscle group, working as the agonist, contract and shorten under tension, causing extension at the knee. Isotonic eccentric contractions occur when a muscle lengthens under tension. This occurs during the lowering phase of movements or when landing from a jump. Here, muscles act as a brake and counteract the force of gravity. During the lowering phase of a squat, the quadriceps muscle contracts eccentrically. It is lengthening, but still contracting at the same time. Isometric contractions occur when a muscle contracts without lengthening or shortening. This is a static contraction. When holding a ski sit, the quadriceps muscle group will be contracting to hold this position without lengthening or shortening. Isokinetic contractions occur when a muscle changes length during the contraction and produce movements of a constant speed. An example of an isokinetic contraction would be whilst cycling on a stationary bike that results in a constant leg movement. The resistance of the bike may vary, but the revolutions per minute would remain constant. Learn more at teachpe.com, and don't forget to like and...
Okay, so that's a little explanation of those concentric, eccentric muscle action movements. You got to be able to identify those in a movement, and that's what one of our main projects is going to be throughout the year. We have a giant paper to write on this stuff, identifying agonists, antagonists of each movement that we're going to do. All right, hope you learned something, and we'll talk about it once you come back into class.